Because you know what? It never, ever stops. Look, I know I'm breaking some news here to some of you, but James Harden is still a 76er. 22 days after picking up his $35 million player option with the intention of being traded, Harden still remains in Philadelphia. Earlier this week, Sixers president Daryl Morey admitted that Harden prefers to be somewhere else, but said that the team would only trade him for a player that would keep the Sixers a title contender. Now, look, James appeared to respond to Morey and the situation on Instagram yesterday, posting, "Been comfortable for so long, it's time to get uncomfortable."
At this point in his career, it's not like when he was with the Rockets, where he had leverage, where he was still a guy that was viewed as one of the elite players in the game today. They have too many guys right now when you look at the young superstars that are up and coming. And what James Harden has to realize is that when he opted into this contract, he gave Philadelphia all the leverage in the world. And he cannot afford to go into training camp disgruntled and say, oh, I'm not going to show up or I'm not going to play. He has to play. You know why? Because he passed up a bag in Houston. He passed up another bag in Brooklyn. Now, all of a sudden, you get to this point, just stage of your career where you're going on 35 years of age, and you can't pass up or not play. Because guess what? It's two situations. You look at Russell Westbrook's situation, and kudos to Russell Westbrook, but the way that he handled the Lakers situation, embracing the six-man role, coming in off the bench until he got out of there, and all of a sudden he got with the Clippers. Ty Lue gave him new life. The Clippers gave him new life. All of a sudden, he signed a deal this summer. Now, it wasn't the money that he was accustomed to making, but he extended his career 2 more years. Carmelo Anthony, he was out the league 2 years. Why? Because every time a player gets to this point of his career, he have a hard time realizing that, hey, the league is, going in a different direction, and I'm not that guy no more. So James Harden got to be careful on how he handled this situation.
Yeah, he definitely has to be careful, because I know you want to make things uncomfortable for you to get out, but you don't want to go somewhere where you are comfortable, especially at this point in your career. I thought Philly was the best chance at, the last few years, where he's running, what did we talk about, this pick and roll, the most dangerous pick and roll in basketball between James Harden and Joel Embiid. He, I think, led the league in, player to player, individual to individual assists, that combination, that tandem. So good things were happening. Also, he accepted the idea that, hey, I need to become more of a spot-up shooter. We knew James Harden for so many years to be, I do it all the time, step back. Now we need you to just, spot up. Don't laugh at me, Richard. Spot up. And he started learning that role. It allowed, Maxey to flourish. They started to feel like they had something, and then always, unfortunately, they fall short. Leaving that situation means you may not be with a contender. And if you're not with a contender, are you comfortable with the place where you're not striving to be great and you're just consistently just who you've been the past few years? The biggest criticism is that you have not been able to get over the hump, and you want to be challenged to get over that hump. So I think he has to be with a contender, not a place where he is just comfortable.
No, look, I completely understand. Thank God we're going to add a few more rational voices here. ESPN senior writers Zach Lowe and Marc. That wasn't a shot at you,
Thank you.
Chiney.
I knew that.
So, Zach, I'm going to start with you. How do you think Philly should handle this situation?
First of all, we need like a 1-month moratorium on the word uncomfortable. I'm so tired of hearing it, and comfortable too. I'm tired of it. Philly is handling this about as well as they could handle it, which is not to say they're blameless for how things got to this point. Everybody deserves some blame for how we got to a position that is so precarious for James Harden, for the Sixers, and for the Clippers. But look, what is Philly supposed to do? They're not going to trade him to the Clippers for expiring contracts and other stuff that doesn't help their team right now. And they know this, something they have in their back pocket. There's an obscure little rule in the CBA that says if you're on an expiring contract the way James Harden is, and you withhold your player services for 30 days in the last season of that contract and don't report and are deemed in violation of it, your team, the Sixers, can actually block you from entering free agency the following summer and signing anywhere else. So Philly is betting we're going to wait out the Clippers and hope they get desperate, and we're going to wait out James Harden and bet on him reporting because he knows that rule, or his agents do, and he's a little bit scared of it. But the downside of that is we've seen James Harden report unhappily before. We've seen him loaf through games unhappily before. And that James Harden, even if he's present, even if he's fulfilling his contract technically, ain't helping Joel Embiid either. And Joel Embiid is still the most important name in this entire discussion, because if this thing breaks down in Philly, all the vultures are going to start circling, trying to get the MVP out of Philadelphia. I think all three parties here, James Harden, the Sixers, and the Clippers, who are sort of ancillary to this, are in a very precarious position, and this could be kind of a drama that unfolds for a little while.
It's not going to be a desperation. We got to have them deal like Miami with Dame. The Clippers are in a laid-back, wait-and-see situation. They're not desperate to get this deal done.
Yeah, the Clippers are in no rush, so they hold a lot of the leverage. I think the biggest loser in this is Joel Embiid. He's had two players request trades, two all-NBA players request trades for a variety of reasons. A lot of it has to do with the front office and how things are handled, but all he's done is be second in voting for MVP, second in voting for MVP, and first in winning it this year. So I feel bad for Joel Embiid, but hopefully they'll figure that out. Now, look, I know you guys might find this hard to believe, but as a player, I never talk trash to anyone. Maybe just a few people. But so to say that Grant Williams fired up Jimmy Butler at that moment in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals last season, look, that's not really my expertise. I do know that Butler won the game and eventually eliminated the Celtics in 7 games. Now, look, Jimmy is on tour in China. He's having a good life. Grant has been touring podcast circuits as a Dallas Maverick, and he is still talking about Game 2. It's time to open up those hot summer mics.
We're playing that game. I think we're up by 8. I'm playing well. And Jimmy says, like, hell no, he ain't here.
Yeah.
So I made it 3.
I
said, hell no, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I said that to him. Barking, you know, because I'm not gonna let him. He said, I'm gonna always respond. Like, I'm not gonna be I'm never gonna be that guy. I never talk trash myself, and you know this. Yes. I'm not a trash talker. I'm too nerdy. Next thing you know, Jimmy, Hezzy, boom, boom, stop, pivot, and one. Like, we're going back and forth. Because, like, me, I'm not backing down. Like, that's kind of what we were missing in that series. They were punking us the entire time.
For sure.
So we go back and forth, whoop whoop. And it's crazy that I always look back at him like, yo, you know, I scored our last 10 points. We win the game. No one brings that up. No one says poke the bear or stuff like that. After the game, media, I was like, listen, bust my ass. Like, I'm going to be able to come back next game. Like, I'm not running from nobody. I'm not scared. I can get punked. So, like, Jimmy knows, like, this is all love because we're just competitors, like, naturally.
Chiney, okay, let me first set this up, and then I'm gonna go to. You know what, Chiney? I'm gonna go to Big Perk because he's more of an agitator. I'll respect that. True. That was his role. I love it from Grant Williams. At the end of the day, we saw that he was punking their entire team. So finally, to have someone get up in Jimmy's face and at least try something, they did come back, they did battle. But Perk, what did you think about when you heard that?
I love it. I love it. And look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a franchise guy or not. Grant Williams was letting it be known that, hey, I'm here and I ain't backing down from nobody. We have to remember throughout the course of the playoffs, Grant Williams was getting DMPs. And then all of a sudden, he actually came in to that Miami series and actually gave the Celtics a little bit of swag that they were lacking. For us, the tenacity part, doing the things that he needed to do offensively and defensively. I love Grant Williams. I hated that the Celtics let him walk out the door and go to the Mavericks, but I love Grant Williams. Everything about him.
No, I agree. Look, Grant Williams, he's bringing some much-needed toughness to his new location in Dallas. They needed that. And look, the Dallas Mavericks, they brought back Kyrie Irving this summer to give the team their all-star backcourt along with Luka. They traded for Grant Williams, brought back Seth Curry, added some shooting. For a third stint, they brought back Seth Curry and added some athletic youth via the draft. Last year, role players Christian Wood, still looking for a job, and Reggie Bullock are no longer with the team. So, Zach, my question is you. Did the Mavericks do enough to crack the top 6 in the West?
It's going to be tight, and that's really because the West is that good. The Mavericks did a nice job with the resources they had. I think all those guys that you listed there, particularly Grant Williams, fit exactly what you want around Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. The draft, they killed the draft. It was a great draft for them. But then you ask yourself, who's the third best player on the Mavericks? And then you start to realize, man, there is a lot of talent in the Western Conference. Is their third best player Maxi Kleber? Is it Grant Williams now who's probably going to start? His DNPs are over, and the West is just that good. So the fit they nailed. The talent question to me, when you look at the Western Conference, there's no guarantee they're a top 6 team. And if they are, it's because those two dudes at the top of the roster are just so good offensively that no one's going to be able to stop them. But I don't know how they're going to be able to stop at least the best offenses in the West. It's going to be tight. They're right in the thick of it.
Will they make it in the top 6?
I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to give you a straight answer, yes. Because I think that Grant Williams, sometimes little things go a long way. And Grant Williams joining that team, their defense is what struggled. And he's one of those players that will say, hey, let's play intense defensively. Let's share the ball offensively. He's one of those underrated, not like literal captains,
like a glue guy.
A glue guy. Because if you look offensively, they were 6th in offensive rating. And you know that Kyrie and Luka are going to shoot 50% and 40% from 3, from the floor and from 3 respectively. Now, defensively, they were 25th in defense. Who's going to hold them accountable on a night-to-night basis? So many games in the NBA and say, hey, we need to be better on that end. It's not just Coach Kidd. You need someone that will hold their teammates, including Luka and Kyrie, to that standard. And Grant seems one of those glue guys, as you said, Richard, that can make that happen. So I feel optimistic about them. Not putting them in top 3, top 4, but top 6 seems okay with me.
It's always funny hearing Coach Kidd. I don't know why that will always laugh. Maybe,
I know it's different for you,
because he was my vet when I got drafted, but it's always funny hearing Coach Kidd.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.